Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and credit card debt right now is absolutely exploding while excess saving is plummeting. Now, one of the key ingredients that we're missing right now from a continued housing market crash is a confirmed recession. So as more and more time goes on and debt continues to explode and excess savings continues to deteriorate, odds are we're going in a recession. Now, what people don't know is are we in a recession right now, or are we not in a recession right now? And one of the ways to determine that is to look at the 10-year versus 3-month treasury and the inversion. And when we look over here to the right, we can see that the inversion depth is historic. We've never had this level of inversion before. And this goes back to the 1980s, 1982. But you can see anytime there was an inversion, it did go back up over the black line, and then we had a recession immediately following. Do y'all see that here? Back in the 2000s as well. It inverted, and then it went back up, and then recession here as well. In the big financial collapse, it inverted, went back up, and then recession. Same thing here, inverted, went back up, and recession. So right now, we have not even started the trend back up. So based on just that data, I'm wondering if we're even in a recession right now. Now, I thought we were in a recession right now. You guys know I put my money where my mouth is, so I do forecast. And I did forecast that we'll have negative GDP Q1 and Q2 of this year, and that our confirmed recession would be in Q3. However, that may not hold true. We may not start the recession until Q2 of this year if we just look at the inversion of the 10-year versus 3 months. Either way, today we're going to look at the overall health of the consumer. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor, even though my bio is as a realtor, loan officer, and instructor in real estate in Texas. And I absolutely love it. And for my love of real estate and my cautious nature, please, you guys, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, hit notifications, shoot me a comment below. And remember, I'm dropping videos at 4 p.m. Central. Primary article we're going to read is by Investopedia. Credit card debt surpasses excess savings for the first time since 2020. So the question is are we at pre-pandemic savings? We already know we've exploded in credit card debt, but do we still have more savings than when we started the pandemic? Inflation has eroded households' pandemic savings stockpiles. Households are facing a shrinking reserve of savings and growing mountain of high-interest consumer debt. While inflation may be in retreat, the increases in the cost of living over the past 2 years have eaten away more than half of the stockpile of savings. Again, more than half of the stockpiles of savings. And we're only a year into this, that households accumulated during the pandemic. And at the same time, credit card debt has soared to record levels, according to the latest government data. The total amount of revolving debt, mainly credit card debt held by Americans in February, surpassed the total amount of extra savings households have built up during the pandemic. And here's a lot of what we see on the news. Cheaper gas and grocery prices falling slightly. Who cares, y'all, about the slight decrease in eggs? Well, actually, gas has actually gone up, but whatever. I'm concerned on shelter, mortgage, rent, the really, really important stuff, the stuff where inflation is the stickiest, right? The hardest to control, the housing market, right? Yes, gas is important. Yes, eggs super important, but big problem, y'all. Huge red flag. Housing market is broken. All right, take a look at this graph. This graph is insane. Here's 2020 where my mouse is right here. Y'all can see how much savings skyrocketed. I mean, savings absolutely skyrocketed, and it should have, y'all, because of the money printing. We were given this money. Oh, we're being taxed on it hard right now, right? Hard. But look at how it just shot up. Savings shot up. But look at ever since about the end of 2021, even though there's still money printing, so there's no excuse for this, look at straight down. Savings is absolutely plummeting and is now under the debt of $1.22 trillion in revolving debt. Very, very astonishing. So again, savings is now under revolving debt. That's really, really shocking if you really, really think about how much money was printed. So how much longer will these well-qualified buyers continue to purchase? Now, again, that's especially true in the North and then the East Coast, where it appears that value is potentially ticking upwards. And what I'm telling y'all right now is that's not sustainable. It's just not. It's not sustainable. People are running out of money and drowning in debt. that is only going to get worse, not better. That's according to an estimate of excess savings, the amount of households have saved beyond their usual level, and data on consumer credit from the Federal Reserve. Many economists believe the dwindling savings combined with the still rising prices for the things we buy will force people to cut back on spending, slowing the economy and helping bring about recession. The combination of declining savings and increasing debt will leave consumers with less money to spend, which will likely dampen retail spending. The pandemic's brief downturn caused a surge in personal savings in 2020, according to the data from BEA. And that's true. A lot of people, when we're on lockdown and we're getting printed money, people were saving that money, right? But a lot of people also spent it. So some people saved it, some people spent it. I'm one of the people that actually saved. In April of that year, the government boosted unemployment insurance and spent out $1,200 stimulus checks to help Americans weather the wave of more than 20 million layoffs that came along with the pandemic's arrival. At the same time, business closures cut off opportunities to spend money. Households saved 33 cents of every dollar of income that month, the highest in records that go back to 1959. And that savings is why some areas are not experiencing price crashing like other areas. So we know there is a price crash in some metro areas that is undisputable, right? But in other areas, it's not. Excess savings is one of those reasons. Strong consumers. But again, that's how long is that going to last? It's not going to last long. The heightened savings continued for more than a year as the pandemic and the government extraordinary emergency support for families continued. The trend began to reverse in September 2021. Household finances have faced pressure from all sides. Rapid price increases for necessities from eggs to houses, the end of the pandemic relief programs from the government, and higher borrowing costs on consumer loans from the Federal Reserve's campaign of anti-inflation rate hikes, all of which have made it harder to save. By February, the excess savings stockpile had dwindled to 1.2 trillion, less than half its 2.6 trillion peak in 2021. As of February 2023, households were saving only 4.6% of their income on average, less than half of the 9.6% pre-pandemic savings rate of February 2020. So obviously people aren't saving nearly as much money because they can't. They can barely afford to live. The shrinking savings won't necessarily force people to cut back on shopping. Historically, changes in the personal saving rate haven't always predicted how much people spend. But again, we're almost in record high inflation right now, and ain't no one printing no more money except for the rich and banks. Instead, spending tends to more closely track household wealth, which is more affected by the prices of homes and other financial assets than by saving. Consumer appetite for spending could prove to be better or worse than the savings data alone would suggest. Still, the reduced savings indicates increasing financial pressure for households, especially less well-off ones. Lower-income households have already mostly exhausted their pandemic savings, and sooner than later, the overall savings cushion is likely to disappear altogether. The overhang, the savings that consumers have accumulated, has a few more months to run, but it doesn't have another year to run. And I think that's really, really easy to understand. And I believe now that we have more data that in some of those stubborn metro areas, we unfortunately need the retail sector, the consumer, to continue to take a hit, because in some of those metro areas, they are still spending like crazy. Let's take a look at the delinquency rate for credit cards. Because again, people just got out of debt. They were printed money. So the defaults are going to take time. Remember that. COVID reset pretty much all defaults. Pretty much every default was reset during COVID. So now we're starting to see the reality. Let me show you. US credit card debt hit an all-time high of $930 billion. Debt surpassed the $870 billion peak during the 2008 financial crisis. Credit card delinquency rates increased 0.16% from the prior quarter to 5.32%. Younger Americans aged 18 to 29 have a 76% higher delinquency rate than anyone else. And this is actually really interesting. It goes into the age group. So apparently the older that you are, the wiser you are with your money. And that actually shows with the delinquency rate. So ages 18 to 29, almost 10% delinquency rate. Kids, stop getting credit cards, please. For the love of all that's holy, do not get credit cards unless it's to establish your credit. Don't use them to buy things, for the love of all that's holy. But this is really disappointing. Ages 30 to 39, 6%? Y'all, what's wrong with you? 6%, ages 40 to 49, 5.6. Y'all are grown-ups, 5.64%. Geez, this is how bad credit card debt is. Look at this. 50 to 59, 4.79%. 60 to 69, 4.3. 70 years or older, 4.26%. In my opinion, elderly, 70 or plus, they shouldn't be struggling in debt. That's really, really sad. Nevertheless, right now, defaults are exploding. I don't think mainstream media is picking it up yet because it's just now getting to pre-pandemic levels. But again, the trajectory, the speed of which it's happening is astounding. Now, going to Fred economic data, here's the consumer loans, credit cards, or other revolving debts. Now, this is going back to 2018. You guys can see, this is when the pandemic hit. Lockdowns, happened. People started paying all their bills off. Here's where we basically reset. So we reset way down here, but ever since, about mid 2021, it has been ballooning, y'all. And they were still printing money during this time. I think this is a lifestyle thing. To me, this is irresponsible spending. Now, we don't know what this is being spent on. I'm just making assumptions here, but I believe it's a result of of either like kids not spending properly or people that are suffering from unaffordability. Don't you all agree? But nevertheless, we're almost at $1 trillion in consumer credit card debt. Now, here's the personal savings rate. Again, this is from Fed economic data. This is not how much money people have. This is how much money people are able to save. It's important to get that right. So I just want to point out, prior to the pandemic, the savings rate was 9.1. Y'all, 9.1, right? People were saving up down to mid to lower eights. And then 2018, it was in the high to mid 7%. Okay. So 7, 8, and started the pandemic 9%. But right now, look at how low it is. It's almost historically low. We're only at 4.6%. This is telling us right now that the American household is suffering. They don't have the ability to save. People are getting debt for household items like food. Imagine using your credit card to buy food. Anyone that's doing that right now, I am so sorry that you have to go through that, y'all. It does get better. Don't give up. Keep working hard. In conclusion, here's what I'm saying. The consumer is not in good shape. Yes, historically, defaults are low right now. I understand that. But the thing is the trajectory of those trends, the trajectory of defaults right now are absolutely exploding. Savings right now is absolutely tanking, again, as a result of quantitative tightening. That's also in the commercial sector. So in other words, there is so much dust still in the air. No one really knows what's going to happen. So if it's me and I'm debating whether or not I should purchase the biggest investment of my life, if I can, I'm taking a step back and I'm waiting to see what happens next. Because one thing that I will not allow myself to do again is have another foreclosure. Now, other than that, you guys, I really appreciate you following along this journey with me. And in this video, I definitely hope you guys got additional new value, perspective, and insights. And if you're out there investing in real estate, I wish you luck and I hope you win.